Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. Just a quick thing, if you haven't seen the first part of the roundup. Yes, I did say earlier in the week I was going to try and get the Beyond report up yesterday. Yesterday wasn't the best day for me, so I opted not to make a video. But hopefully, in the next few days, we'll be getting the Beyond report up. But anyway, on with the roundup. Kicking things off, we've got Savage Avengers number 28, which is sadly the final issue of the series. Where we'd left off, Conan and the Savage Avengers had defeated Kulan Gath, and Kang had taken Conan back to the Hyborian Age, where he saved Kulan Gath from being enslaved by a young Kulan Gath from being enslaved by a sorcerer and learning sorcerer's ways, and Conan offered to teach him the way of steel. And so we begin with Conan's training of Kulan Gath being occasionally watched by Kang. And so that the training will take as long as it takes for Kulan Gath to parry his strongest blow. And so later, on their travels, a raven comes to them with a scroll. Sorcerer Supreme Mekri Ra has summoned them, and so they make their way to Mekri Ra's sanctum. And apparently Ra wishes to test Kulan Gath. And it's explained that it is a test with no correct answer. To descend is to die. He will swing the sword and will carry him far. The only true test of man is how he dies. And Kulan Gath faces Shumagorath, and but he passes the test. And Mekri Ra tells Kulan Gath to be well, and that they will not meet again in this lifetime. And Kang appears. But Conan basically sends Kulan Gath on his way, though Gath thought the two of them would pursue some treasure together, though Conan explains that they walk different paths. And so Conan is taken back to where he first came from, and Kang tries to betray him. The two of them fight, and Conan mentions of all his treasures, one thing he noticed, what wasn't there, was Conan's sword. And he insists that Kang take him back to the feast at Castle Doom, or at least that he go back, and Kang returns. And we learn that he does, in fact, possess Conan's sword and his crown, and scepter, and daggers, and a necklace. And etched into the blade of Conan's sword is, "This isn't over." And so the issue ends with Conan having been summoned once again by Kang and facing him, and Kang explains to him that Kang the Conqueror has nothing to fear from Conan of Samaria. To which Conan states, "Keep it that way, and keep your head," which is where the series concludes. I really enjoyed Savage Avengers. There were some points where it did feel like the book was kind of spinning its wheels and just You know, kind of saying how much can we do with Kang in the modern Marvel universe, or not Kang, but Conan. And they actually did quite a bit with it, and some fun stuff, like, you know, Conan basically taking up residence in the old Hellfire Club. That was some fun stuff. Yeah, but good series. I'm gonna miss it. It was always a fun read. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Kate Bishop Hawkeye, #3. Where we left off, Kate had been hired by her to help her sister at a resort. Her sister had lost her ring the last time she was there. It was a ring of some importance. But from looks of things, the circus of crime appears to be involved with the resort. And so Kate does what she can to deal with the circus of crime and get her sister out of there safely. And yeah, it's a circus of crime. And it's explained that the ring is no ordinary ring. This is the key to a vault with a shard of the cosmic cube in it. But Kate and her sister bond a little. And turns out that of course, those are hiding in the basement. Kate fights off one of them, and then the leader appears with her sister in tow. The leader being one Pascal Thibault. But that is where the issue ends. A good issue, explaining, giving me some more background on Kate's sister, aside from just being, you know, Kate Bishop's sister, and more content to be a part of the Bishop family than Kate. But yeah, good, solid issue. And again, the conversation, yes, it's a circular crime. Among the texts that throughout the issue that Kate sent, was one to Clint stating how much she hates the circus. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Darkhawk, #5, the final issue of the miniseries. So, where we left off, Connor Young is the new Darkhawk. He's a basketball player with recently diagnosed with MS. But he discovered the amulet, and though his best friend eventually got killed by some local arms dealers. This new Darkhawk seems so far with Miles Morales as well as Captain America. But he's also run afoul of Sean, a longtime friend of Connor's, who was also working with the arms dealers that killed Connor's best friend. So the issue begins at Derek, the funeral for Derek, the best friend. Team's there. Derek's sister seems a little put off by the fact that seemingly no one really cares about Derek. Everyone that's there is more there for Connor. But and he's been accepted into ESU with a scholarship. Then Sean comes up to him and so they need to get some air, and his eye starts glowing, and so Connor goes outside with him, realizing, this is definitely this is not the kind of thing that needs to be done around people. So Connor armors up, fights Sean. He's got some enhancements. And Sean kind of works him over a little, but, well, Darkhawk armor's got more than a few surprises. Miles shows up, wraps up Sean in webbing. Sean is taken to presumably the Myrmidon or a similar super prison. Someone's watching Darkhawk, claiming that the new one has more potential than the last one. And it seems Derek's sister is trying to get a hold of Connor. And it seems that Connor is definitely making friends with Miles. As the issue wraps up, Connor tells the team what's happened. That he's got MS. They have to go win their next game for Derek. However, there's someone. It turns out someone in the outer reaches of space is watching Connor. That someone being none other than seemingly Chris Powell, the original Darkhawk, and that is where the issue and the miniseries end. And it can be extrapolated shortly after this, while doing superhero stuff. Darkhawk was apprehended by Shocker and the Thunderbolts. But moving on to Darkhawk was a fun series. It was good. I'm hoping we see more of the character and not just throwaway panels like in Devil's Reign #1. I like that we've gotten the over 5 issues. They actually got explained more about who he was. But yeah, I hope we see more of him. It'd be nice to see. I don't know. Maybe the next time Marvel decides to do a Champions book, maybe Miles just, hey, I might know someone who'd be good for the team, and brings in Darkhawk. That'd actually be really cool, in all honesty. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Death of Doctor Strange, Bloodstone. So this issue focuses on Elsa Bloodstone. So, for those unaware, Elsa Bloodstone is a monster hunter, but her father was a monster hunter named Ulysses Bloodstone, who gave his children Bloodstones, and these give them various abilities, make them actually really good fighting monsters. My first exposure to Elsa was in Next Wave. Funny that should be popping up around this time. But she also had a supporting role in the most recent Deadpool ongoing. Deadpool, after all, was the king of the monsters, and, well, she's a monster hunter. So, of course, they, kind of had started to develop feelings for one another. So the issue opens with a creature. It's not. I don't think it really says what kind of creature it is, but chasing down a bus because it thinks it's his mate, and then also incapacitates the creature. But there's a meteorite headed towards apparently Bloodstone Manor. So Elsa arrives, deals with her brother Cullen, who's bound with a demon attached to him, and occasionally hunts mutants in the middle of the night. But Elsa has to face her brother's monstrous half, Glartrox, when the meteor touches down. There's a girl inside of it, though. It's explained that they note that the girl looks like their dad. Apparently, back then, 10,000 years ago, the magical warlord Kraken had temples all over Britain and Ireland. He was constantly empowered by his devoted priests so that his chains would wrap around the land and claim it for his own. But Ulysses Bloodstone was not one of, Kraken's priests. He didn't trust Kraken or his priests. He didn't think it wise anyone should have that much power, especially it wasn't him. So he was prepared to show the gods he was a man of his word by sacrificing the thing that was important to him in the world. The Null Gem, which stabilized and amplified the Blood Gem's power, and his, at the time, only child. He'd have their gems, he had other gems, and he would have other daughters as well. But Lyra, apparently Lyra's picked up Lyra, the girl's name, has picked up English, and listening. Just she explains there's nothing to do in the cosmos but listen. So she listens to spells, cosmic prayers, weird old radio broadcasts. That's all she could do. And she's surprised that Elsa and Colin haven't gone mad, being bonded to full blood gems. But turns out that because of the null gem, she basically eats magic. She basically consumes magical power, which she does to some of the artifacts in the attic. Cullen monsters out, and Lyra takes some of his magical power, but they're going to work on a way to separate Cullen from forget his friggin' name. From Glartrox. But they're promptly attacked by Kraken, the jailer. By Kraken the jailer. But they, however, so Elsa and Cullen go out to deal with Kraken. Cullen kind of lets loose, and they take down Kraken. And they expel Glartox from Cullen. And Lyra is going to begin, adapting to the modern world. She's got a school interview coming up. But she says that there are a lot of sorcerers who have passed Kraken and they destroyed him. Some of them will have some really good spells and they'll be mad. And so and the issue ends with Elsa suggesting that Lyra asked her about her least favorite sorcerers. A fun issue. Something I've long been saying with some of the characters from Next Wave is, it seems as though Marvel writers since Next Wave have made a point of continuing to write Elsa, Machine Man, Monica Rambeau, and Boom Boom in similar manners to how they were written in Next Wave. And to be fair, it's great. I love it. I honestly do. Mainly because I really love the Next Wave. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Ages, number 4. Where we left off, under the Purple Man's control, Quicksilver had attacked Wakanda, killing the Human Torch, but revealing that Mr. Fantastic, Magneto, and others were still alive and held prisoner in Europe by Apocalypse. So it turns out that the main refugee vessel they got for getting people from Europe to Wakanda is an old helicarrier. The ENP kind of took care of the heli part, but yeah. So the helicarrier is actually crewed by Multiple Man. And its anchor is controlled by Colossus. So Storm and so a team of heroes go to save everyone. And Storm is informed of what's happened. Admiral Fury is not exactly keen on the idea of sending the carrier back out so soon, but he understands. And so we get some goodbyes from everyone. Valeria says goodbye to Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl. Honey Badger and Scout say goodbye to Elsa, who also says goodbye to Blade. Peter and MJ say goodbye, though their daughter isn't there to say goodbye as well. It's about 10 miles from shore. Storm is pretty much exhausted herself, but there's a scream from up top. It's May Parker and Danny Cage. But they see a light on the horizon, and suddenly a massive hook goes through Admiral Fury's chest, and he's yanked off the ship, and the Ghost Raiders attack. And so, Colossus Fastball Specials, Wolverine and Scout. Invisible Woman does what she can to keep everyone safe. But turns out, though, they've got assistance in the form of the Guardians of the Port. Scott Lang and Fin Fang Foom, who promptly destroy the Ghost Raiders. However, Nick Fury is dead, and Spider-Man states it's one more friend to avenge. And that is where the issue ends. I'm seriously loving this series, and it's kind of sad to me how knowing that it's after 8 more issues, it's going to be over. But anyway, moving on to our last one for the moment, we've got Wastelanders, Black Widow. So I've brought this up a few times talking about these one-shots. It was stated in Old Man Hawkeye that Black Widow was killed on the day the villains took over. And yet here we are with a Wastelanders Black Widow one-shot and podcast as well. That's because it's not about Natasha. It's about Yelena. But we open in Florida, the realm of the Lizard King. He's a prisoner, and the prisoner isn't talking. But we kind of flashback a bit. We get some flashbacks to Yelena and Natasha working together, and how eventually, after the heroes fell, Yelena doing what she could to make her way in the world, which would eventually lead to her running to a man named Elias from AIM, who were trying to fight off Red Skull. And apparently Elias is the Lizard King's prisoner. And Yelena fights the Lizard King and manages to get to his dungeon, where she finds Elias. However, Elias is in no shape to run, as the Lizard King has eaten his legs. And so Yelena puts him down, and she says she's not her anymore. She's what the world has made her, and with the days she has left, she's going to make a difference. And God help those who stand in her path. And that is where the issue ends. Very interesting. I'm not really big on audio podcasts, but may have to try and track all these Wastelanders ones down. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.